As we take a look at the pyramid here and what we have done up to this point, we have built it up. We're going towards the point. That'll be the number one quarterback in 2025. And so here it is. We want to make sure that nothing is left behind. That we don't forget about anyone.
I think Pete was doing a practical joke on his own podcast here, okay?
So if you're keeping track of the pyramid, what you will notice is that Escape from New York was last time. We had a couple guys that escaped from New York, the Sam Darnold and the Geno Smith. Don't You Forget About Me was not there. This block of the pyramid has just now appeared because we actually did in sorting through it and moving quarterbacks up and down.
Well, and right. And well, go ahead. No, go ahead.
We left someone out.
We left somebody out. We left Kirk Cousins out.
We left him out.
Which we didn't. Like, we had him 2 shows ago. And then we decided through reconfiguring through that show that we would wait and kick him down the road to the next show.
Yes.
Right? So the list was there. He has not moved on the list. This was not a reorganization of anything that way. This was, we were going to put him in one show. We said, maybe it makes more sense for the next show. And then in the transfer of the next show, the cackler, a.k.a. Pete Demolitolitis, he forgot to throw him in the rundown. Yeah. So it's my fault ultimately.
Which the Falcons
It's my list.
The Falcons
It's my list,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
But Pete is supposed to help me out there, okay? And he didn't help out very much. He wasn't a good backup quarterback.
We don't really want to blame anyone, but this was Pete's fault that we forgot about Kirk Cousins here.
That's right.
But we're making amends, and we're putting him back in. So we'll get to the top 22 quarterbacks because that's where we are in the list if you're keeping track of a list, but we are doing the pyramid this year. But let's talk about Kirk Cousins here first because we don't want to completely forget about him. He was 12th in last year's countdown. He's been between 12 and 16 in every previous edition of the countdown, but this is a drop back for Kirk.
I mean, I try to project to a degree, right? And I know last year I was a little like, I don't know what we're going to see with him after the Achilles injury. But I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And I probably should have had him lower going into last year after that type of injury and the age he was at. Because I do try to play that angle. That's a real angle. And again, guys get better. They do get worse, especially as they get, to certain parts of their career. But I think the big thing that I come away with Kirk Cousins and watching him back more than anything is the physical ability affected the mental decision making. That would be my biggest thing. That would be the banner headline on him, right? Yeah, there's questions. I don't know where we're going to go. He wasn't a super athletic guy. He wasn't a super athletic guy to begin with. Now you take a guy who's trying to compensate, maybe can't push off his leg quite the same way and drive the ball and do all that, and his arm wasn't necessarily known to be a bazooka to begin with, and now you lose that little extra power. Yeah, it affected his football game. It did. Did the ball flutter in the air way too much at times? Yes. Were yards left on the field in every game I watched for the most part? Yes. Were there times where I go, ooh, throw this, and I think he's going, I'm not really on my game right now, and people are getting close to me in the pocket, and I got a bum leg a little bit. Let me just check it down and take the easy throw here. Yes, there's too much of that, right? So, and to me, one of the great things about Kirk Cousins is he's always been for a guy that doesn't have that bazooka arm, he's had great feel, anticipation, and he's been a pretty aggressive decision maker. He lost that last year. And I think it has to do with, some of the injury and everything there. But yes, I think with losing some RPMs on the football, the ability to drive the ball into some tight windows, wanting to protect himself, I think there's a number of plays where you go, ooh, not only does that not look good, like, ooh, that ball fluttered in the air, that should have been a 15-yard completion, but the guy knocked it down instead. There was a lot where you just go, man, the old Kirk Cousins would have let this rip. He would have turned around, hit the back foot, and done it. And this one is taking kind of the conservative approach because I don't think he trusted himself. And, of course, that showed on the field, and it hurt their offense, and they weren't the same, as the year went on. He certainly wasn't consistent.
It's been an interesting career for Kirk Cousins because I think for most of his career he's been underrated. He's been the underrated quarterback, not drafted in the first round and then exceeds expectations but then doesn't win in the big games, and so that kind of overshadows how good and consistent he has been overall. And then you get that big contract, and now all of a sudden he's a little overrated because of the down year last year. Now, a couple of injuries, obviously coming back from the injury to start the season, but then week 10 there was a shoulder and an elbow injury kind of during the Saints, and said it affected him from there on out. Only started, I think, a few more games after that before Michael Penix came in. So it is tough, right? It was like he was coming back from an injury, and then week 10, midway through the year, another injury to his throwing arm, shoulder,
not a real big
elbow.
Guy, not a great athlete to begin with. Then you got the bad leg. You can't get out of harm's way and do stuff like that. that, yeah, I think it compounded itself a little bit that way. Definitely did. And yes, just the pure throwing and some of that was concerning. He was not as accurate with the football and putting it in places he wanted to be, right? There's that. And then, yes, for a guy that didn't have that huge arm, that little aspect of maybe being a little late with the football, second-guessing yourself because you're in a new offense, and then, the ball hanging in the air and some big moments where it led to whether it was interceptions or incomplete passes like I talk about, or even worse, turnovers, which like you get into that too and go, turnovers I think were caused a little bit because of like, hey, number one, he was kind of open, but let me see if I can find something a little easier or better. Nothing's working. Oh no, the pocket's collapsing. Let me just throw it up and give this guy a chance. Oh, interception, right? There was a lot of that type of stuff throughout the year from him that just we're not used to seeing. And that's where he's tough in this whole exercise, right? And I think, to be fair to myself, I've probably been higher on him than most, I think, the last few years. But at his age, the way it looked physically on the field last year, and the fact that he didn't always have eye-popping physical traits to begin with, I got to see it to believe it again a little bit, to put him any higher than this right here where he is. And let alone, I know we're going to talk about some guys that, I think got, a lot of improvement and big-time potential coming up here that passed him by.
He had some flashes, right? Week 5, that Thursday Night Football comeback. 509 yards. That was the Falcons' record.
That was the Bucs game, right?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a very good team, 4 touchdowns in that one. So it's like it still seems like it's potentially still in there, but he turns 37 in August.
Well, even watching that game, there's some good plays. There's no doubt. I'm not trying to take that away. But Tampa's pass defense was not good, and they were really not good at that time of the year. And people are wide open. So that's one where, because one of my first things I do is I go, let me watch the best game, let me watch the worst game. That's like kind of my base start of every guy, right? So just kind of give me some ideas of what he does awesome. Okay, all right. So what are some of the issues? And then usually the bad games kind of bring those out where you go, oh, okay, there it is, right? So the good games, I wasn't sitting here going, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. It's like, oh no, there's Kyle Pitts with nobody around him, 25 yards down the middle of the field. If you hit him, you get a 70-yard touchdown. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, you hit him, right? So it was like that. There was not enough plays where you're getting paid $50 million a year to where you got to go above and beyond the offense. Or you got to be consistently surgical like you always are. And that's what he was not this year. And I know, like, their weaponry on the outside is not like wowing, but it's good enough. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, people aren't open. Oh, your offensive line wasn't good, right? None of that is true in Atlanta. They can run the ball. Their offensive line was damn good. And the talent, even though we can say maybe Drake London hasn't lived up to top 10 pick potential or Kyle Pitts top 10 pick potential, it's still damn good. And Darnell Mooney's damn good too. And there was more to be had there. And yeah, he's at a tipping point of his career here. And I'll be interested to see where it goes because he's kind of fluttering on that age and where he is of like, wait, are you going to be a starter again? And if you are a starter again, is it going to be very good? Or are you going to be relegated to backup bill? And will you even do that? Or are you just going to retire after a year or two when you just realize you're not going to be the starter anymore?
Doesn't appear like that will be in Atlanta anymore.
Yo, homies, what's up? Thanks for watching Chris Simms Unbuttoned. And just because the weather's warm doesn't mean football ain't still on our brains right here.
We are still working, so smash that subscribe button. We got all the training camp news, preseason news, everything up until kickoff night.
Thanks for watching. And again, remember to hit that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.